Cracks in the MAGA movement have been forming for quite some time. And here is another example.
I think that if somebody tries to kill Matt, there's a good shot that it's going to be a leftist. If somebody tries to kill me, it's a frickin' Agatha Christie novel. I just don't know which direction the bullet is coming from at this point.
Ben Shapiro, a Jew, being brutally honest with Matt Walsh about the obvious anti-Semitism that exists in the political right in the United States. Y'all, I watched this episode of Friendly Fire, so you don't have to. You're welcome. Let's get into it. First off, it's not lost on me that last week I found myself agreeing a little bit with Candace Owens, and this week I am agreeing a little bit with Ben Shapiro. It's a weird spot to be in.
Trump wants a Nobel Peace Prize, by the way, for the planned ethnic cleansing so that they could profit on the land.
I think that there are things that get said on the right that are really, really, really ugly, and pretending those away doesn't make them go away.
It's also not lost on me that Owens as a black woman and Shapiro as a Jew are often used as tokens, still considered as others by the MAGA movement, a movement that is largely fueled by white supremacy. On this recent episode of Friendly Fire on the Daily Wire, the guys were talking about the leaked texts from the Hitler-loving young Republicans as originally reported by Politico.
I have really appreciated J.D. Vance's response. Now, I think the vice president has struck exactly the right chord on this.
Grow up. I'm sorry, focus on the real issues. Don't focus on what kids say in group chats. But the reality is that kids do stupid things, especially young boys. They tell edgy, offensive jokes. Like that's what kids do.
Because he's not going to play the game. And instead, what he's done is he has redirected the conversation back to the thing that the left is trying to distract us from. There's one reason and one reason only that this story exists. And it's to get us to stop talking about Jay Jones and the leftists who've been celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk for the last month. That's the only reason that the story exists. And so J.D. Vance's point is, no, I'm not going to play that game with you. I'm not going to give you what you want. Instead, I'm going to redirect the conversation back to the thing that you're trying to distract us from. And I think that that's exactly the right move.
The conversation was a lot of that. Performative outrage about anything said by a Democrat while completely dismissing the disgusting text by these young Republicans. And this Yahoo had his own theory.
And having spent a lot of time with New York young Republicans, I promise you this whole thing is about some like petty personal grudge, and it's some power play within New York politics, and it actually has very little to do with the ideology or putative ideology of these texts.
The whataboutism is enough to give you whiplash, and I don't know about y'all, but I've had plenty of personal conflicts in my life, definitely sent some texts that in hindsight I wasn't proud of, but never, not once, has Hitler or a gas chamber or a racial slur ever entered my mind. Like, ever. What in the actual fuck is wrong with these people? And did you catch when he said this?
And having spent a lot of time with New York young Republicans.
He spends a lot of time with those young Republicans. Makes total sense. These assholes feel totally comfortable using that kind of language because not only are they being defended by the vice president, they're also being encouraged by this piece of rotting refuse. And at some point in time, I knew his name. I don't remember it now, and I definitely could have looked it up, but fuck him. Who cares? And of course, Matt Walsh agrees.
Obvious that it is a joke. It's sarcasm, very much in line with the kind of sarcasm Republicans use all the time about, yeah, I'm real far right. I guess I love Hitler.
And to support his claim that Republicans are just super funny, he added this.
Along the lines of me having theocratic fascist in my Twitter bio, which isn't entirely a joke, but it's mostly a joke.
Wow. Yeah, that's hilarious. It was fascinating to watch those words tumble out of the mouths of these pompous assholes while a Jew, Ben Shapiro, watches and waits for his turn to speak. Because not only are Walsh and the other guy completely dismissing and defending the hateful anti-Semitic rhetoric shared in these texts, Walsh is also proudly declaring that he is a theocratic fascist. And the kind of theocracy that Walsh is desperate to have take hold in the United States is a Christian nationalist theocracy. There's no room for Jews there. And speaking of Christian nationalism, reference Trump meeting with Putin in Hungary this week. Hungary is a country run by Christian nationalists, a place that is seriously a wet dream for people like Matt Walsh. But that's a story for another day. When Ben Shapiro finally got his chance to speak, he pushed back against his fellow commentators and the obvious hypocrisy that they were spewing.
But it has led to, I think, a reactionary response on some parts of the right to say there should be no policing ever at all. No social consequences should ever attend to things that are said on the right, that it's basically just pure my side versus your side. The problem I have is, number one, I think that's immoral, and number two, I don't think that's pragmatic. I don't think that's moral because I think that there are things that get said on the right that are really, really, really ugly, and pretending those away doesn't make them go away. I think that they're rising. I think that they're getting more common. I know that my death threats from that side are getting more common. I know I have more security because of that, and it's not just from the left. I have lots of security from the left, and I also get lots of security from the right. Matt, I think a little bit earlier today you tweeted that kind of your litmus test is the people who are trying to kill you, and I totally get that. I also have that litmus test. The difference is that I think that if somebody tries to kill you, Matt, there's a good shot that it's going to be a leftist. If somebody tries to kill me, it's a frickin' Agatha Christie novel. I just don't know which direction the bullet is coming from at this point, given the sort of various and sundry radical extremes that exist.
Shapiro called them out for the hypocrisy of them saying that Democrats should be fired or barred from running for office if they use hateful rhetoric, but Republicans and those on the right should ignore when their people do the same. And he also pushed back against their praise of Vance's response, the response that said, oh, they're just kids and they're jokes.
There is no comparison whatsoever between some 19-year-old kid who's making edgy jokes trying to outbaste his friend in a group chat and a former state legislator, would-be top law enforcement official in Virginia.
I don't think these people are kids. I don't think 31-year-old's a kid. I don't like using the sort of language of kids to describe people who really should be married and have children of their own by this point in their life. And I think the kind of loose playing with that term, as though if you're a 31-year-old, which is what one of these people was, that somehow this is the equivalent of being 17. I don't think that's true either.
But the YRs go down to 22. I mean,
I agree, but some of the people who are being quoted here are in their 30s, some are up all the way up to 40.
They're not kids. These people are full-grown adults, and they are the up-and-coming members of the Republican Party. And the only thing that people like Walsh and Vance are actually pissed about is the fact that these sentiments were made public, because these are supposed to be the inside thoughts of the MAGA folks. This is supposed to be the stuff they don't say out loud, but they all quietly agree is ultimately their goal. And Shapiro cautioned against the Republican Party's embrace of these jackasses.
Do not unify around your crazies. Sure, the crazies can vote for you. They can vote for your party. You can't stop them from doing that. It's a free country. But that doesn't mean they should have like a decisive voice in the future of the movement.
The crazies Shapiro is referring to are the Nazis in that Republican group chat, because as a Jew, Shapiro has a real clear understanding of what rhetoric like that can eventually lead to, and it's not good. And I'm going to take Shapiro's sentiment just a little bit further, because even if someone hates politics or thinks that both sides are evil, one side has Nazis and people defending Nazis, defending anti-Semitism, defending racism, and one side doesn't. It's an obvious choice. MAGA is full of others that they elevate for a period of time, just like the black folks they prop up behind Trump at his rallies. But the movement is not designed for them, just as it's not designed for me. Look at the current lineup of the Daily Wire right now. One Jew and two women. Blonde women, that's an important distinction. This lineup makes it very clear they are pushing and endorsing the white supremacist movement of MAGA. And this hits home on a local level too. Take a look at this woman who showed up to one of our local No Kings protests here in Indiana with a sign that said, "In search of fertile handmaid." Hilarious, right? I'm sure Matt Walsh would find this to be just a super funny joke. She's seriously calling for someone her husband can rape. But this woman, just like Shapiro and just like Owens, is an other in the MAGA world. And for now, she may be protected, because if you are a Jew or a woman or a person of color, you will be protected so long as you remain in the proximity of and keep working to elevate white men wearing a hat that says "Live like Charlie." But eventually, she will be brutally thrust into the reality that the MAGA movement never has and never will act in the best interest of her or her family. And there may have been a moment when Ben Shapiro realized that as well.
Recently, I've been talking about the Islamic takeover of Dearborn, and I've had people who I guess claim to be conservatives who are trying to tell me that actually this is a very good thing, that our country becomes Islamic. And it's like, okay, we're clearly not on the same side. You're trying to conserve Islamism, and that is not what I'm trying to conserve. And I think the line is at conserving and defending Western civilization.
When Walsh says Western civilization, he means white and Christian. And Shapiro knows that. Walsh is cool for now with elevating a Jew because technically Shapiro is still kind of his boss, but make no mistake, Walsh will turn on Shapiro as soon as it is beneficial for him to do so. Coming to you from Indiana in a sea full of soybeans that we can't sell thanks to Trump's tariffs, I am Corinne Straight for Really American Media. Thank you so much for watching. Share this video with someone in your life. Let's keep the conversation going. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see y'all next time.